Centro Soul and the Urban Health Institute introduce the 2016 Latino Health Conference, and it is being held at the Creative Alliance in Baltimore, Maryland, and the topic today is Latino youth. And we have panelists as well as guest speakers and interviews with some of the guests talking about Latino youth as well as education and opportunities that we have for them. So let's get started. Our keynote speaker is Commissioner Rafael Lopez, the Commissioner of the Administration of Children, Youth, and Families at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And we have a special guest, a high school student, Excel Estrada.
We're gathered here today to talk about the future of Latino youth in Baltimore City. And we heard this morning from an extraordinary young man named Excel Estrada, who is full of hope and dreams and potential, and he represents many Latino youth and many youth in Baltimore in general. He is someone who exemplifies perseverance and persistence and grit in a way that all young people can learn from.
We asked the conference participants what they like best about this year's conference.
What I enjoyed the most about the conference were the participants and the people who were there. We had a great diverse group of people who attended. Over 100 community organizations were represented, and the dialogue was dynamic, vibrant, and you could tell that everyone was very committed to the Latino youth of Baltimore.
It's been great. I helped organize it in collaboration with Kathleen Page and Monica Guerrero Vasquez, and so more than anything I'm just grateful for everybody for attending and for lots of great questions.
I'm really excited to have so many people joining this effort. It's not just an event, but it's a conversation, and we hope it becomes a network to support our youth.
I direct general pediatrics and adolescent medicine at Johns Hopkins Hospital, and I'm also chair of pediatrics at Johns Hopkins Bayview. And I'm one of the founders of Centro Soul with many other committed clinicians who started the organization.
We were invited to the conference, but we were interested because we saw that it tackled youth, but then different issues that we see as being part of the Latino youth, and so we saw this as an opportunity to open our eyes about what we've been living through and how different it is from everybody else's, and also how we can become a part of a change.
One of the highlights of the conference was the speeches given by the students and affected youth. In particularly Excel Estrada, who is a high school student at Patterson Park. He is an unaccompanied minor who came from Guatemala a couple of years ago, and he gave a very, very moving speech talking about what his life had been like in Guatemala, what it was like now in Baltimore, and his hope and outlook for the future, the opportunities he saw, both in terms of his own education as well as the opportunities he saw for other Latino youth in Baltimore.
When we go to school, we don't think about all the resources that are around our community, but when we come to conferences like this, we realize that there's a lot going on.
This morning has been wonderful, and there's been a lot of hard work and planning, and it's really come together. We've been so excited about how it's come together, and just to have the amazing speakers that we had. So Rafael Lopez and Excel, I think it really helped to inspire us. So a lot of this work is hard, and it's difficult, and it's hard to know that you're making a difference. And so it was so wonderful to hear from both of them about that there's a lot of hope.
It was great to hear the story from the 15-year-old who came to Baltimore recently. That was incredibly inspiring, just to hear his personal story and his actual life experiences. I think it really brought a face to what is going on here, and then hearing about different programming in the schools to help kids like him. It was really inspiring.
Well, I think listening to Excel, the student, was fascinating. I've worked in Guatemala, so I know the obstacles he faced just getting here, and what he's done in 2 years of being here.
And a lot of people are working on us to make better opportunity for us.
The conference is fantastic. Both some of the ideas that are coming up from the panelists and obviously some of the other people that have spoke, but also some of the questions that are coming from the audience are amazing in terms of their insights and also some of the solutions that the questions sort of represent. So I think the day is going to be really positive in terms of not just hearing things, but some important next steps.
I am really enjoying the conference. I think it's really inspiring to hear and see so many people coming together, working really hard to make Baltimore City a city of welcome and a place for all people, and particularly where Latino youth can succeed.
So far it's been wonderful. I really enjoyed Axel, who spoke about his personal experience in traveling here from his country.
It was a great conference. It was very, very interesting. All the points that we were needing to hear for the families and the community, the Latino community here in Baltimore. I think there were so many points that they were discussed that they were very, very important. And especially it was very important to see all the providers as well that provide services to the Latino community.
And all the pieces that are being talked to today are pieces, but it's the relationships. It's having the relationships among the providers, but also relationships with young people so they feel respected, they feel like there are opportunities, that they are assets and not problems. And I think all the discussions today, and certainly all the people in the audience, have that perspective.
I think the personal stories that we've been hearing of people's journeys here and really grounding us and remembering that while we're thinking big level programming, it's so important that everything we're doing is to help people in their lives. So it's been really touching to hear some of the personal stories today.
So my agency, along with the mayor's office and Baltimore City Public Schools, wrote a proposal to ask for funding so that mental health services could be provided.
I think it's so important to make sure that we're providing them the opportunities. Education is such a key one in my mind, and really being able to have access to education and all the support services to really launch themselves into adulthood and succeed.
Well, one of the things that I do as the Senior Associate Director of the Urban Health Institute is try to make connections. So this morning, I was at the city school system, and there were discussions about how are we going to be supporting some of these youth who literally come into Baltimore and not knowing an alphabet. It's not knowing an English alphabet, or they don't know any alphabet. So one of the things that came up from the questions from the audience is how do we do this? So I'm working now to connect some of the people that are working on this in Montgomery County, in Baltimore, with some of the city school people to provide some of the solutions.
Yes, so I come from Behavioral Health System Baltimore, and we oversee the Unaccompanied Minors Project, which serves unaccompanied youth who've traveled here from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, who are in Baltimore City Public Schools.
That's fantastic. Actually, it's a great conference. They have very important topics actually that they're bringing out, not only about health, education, children, the criminal justice, but mainly focus on what it could be, what it actually really is, the future of our community, the future of the country, which actually focuses on health and youth, actually youth. And what are the levers to make them successful, and what are we doing or not doing?
It's taken a lot of work to put it together, and it's great to finally see it come together.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was informative for the time that I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great combination of data, just looking at data and research, and also kind of involving the community as well.
The level of trauma that the recently arrived young people have suffered, and they need to provide services to them. We also talked about the lack of services and the need to advocate for additional resources so that this community could get the services that it needs.
I was so excited to come down to the conference. It's very useful information for the youth. We need to listen to them. We need to provide them with much needed support. So the conference is here. You have a lot of knowledgeable speakers talking about resources and things that they're making available through the school system, through outreach centers. It's just wonderful to be here. This is very much needed.
I thought it's been really great and really eye-opening. It's been especially amazing to hear about the work that's being done in reproductive health, especially with teens in the schools around here.
I'm enjoying the conference tremendously. I feel like it's a great opportunity for Latinos and non-Latinos to get together to speak about issues that are important for them.
This is my first conference. and I've enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm finding it really interesting and stimulating.
It's been a wonderful conference. When we decided to do this conference each year, we get a little nervous because we're not sure how many people will show up. This is one of the first years we did the conference off-site, so you always worry a little bit about that. But obviously, by the number of people that showed up and the energy and enthusiasm of the conference, I think it's been a great success.
Well, I found it fascinating. I am also a healthcare provider. I'm a retired physician and public health. I work in public health. So I found the speakers terrific this morning in regard to things like the teen pregnancy issue, the mental health problems of children coming here.
In addition to the panel discussions, the conference speakers covered a number of topics related to Latino youth and opportunity.
So advocating for Latino youth and for all youth in our country is one of the most important parts of my job, which is making sure that young people have the support they need to thrive and to reach their most their potential in life.
One way you can advocate is to join up with a community partner. Myself, my school, and my students are part of a club called Somos, which means we are. And we have created a program where we reach out to community partners and to agencies, and we collaborate with them on different projects. Topics include immigration reform, youth empowerment, and that's one way you can promote Latino culture and Latino issues.
As a public health person, I would say you've got to have policies, and the city, the state, ultimately nationally, there's just got to be policies that address these issues for any minority population or immigrant population. But so advocating that through the usual political means. I do think the health department is doing a good job with limited resources.
Every young person is born with amazing potential to do amazing things in their life, and when provided the right kind of supports and opportunities, they can excel in life.
I enjoyed hearing the conversation on mental health, moderated by Dr. Leaf. I wasn't aware of all the programs that were available for our youth, especially in the Baltimore area and broader in Montgomery County as well. I think it's applicable to my situation at school, where I teach Latino youth and other youth about just daily life and things that they're going through, and it's great to hear that some struggles are shared amongst different communities and also some resources that are available for them.
So I think the first step in advocating for Latino youth is really listening to Latino youth and having them tell us what they consider the main issues that they're confronting. One of the topics that really became very salient and all the students really spoke very eloquently about was the challenges that many of them face after high school, getting a post-high school education. Particularly, this is a particular challenge for non-US born Latino youth. And as we all know, education is really the path for opportunity here in the US and elsewhere. Fortunately, we had advocates and educators in that conference, and I'm very hopeful that with their help and with the Latino youth, we will be able to make some progress and create real opportunities for these students who are very committed, very dedicated, and many of them are excellent students that could really make a huge contribution to our society.
It's hard to get results maybe, but we should be reaching out to our local government officials, sort of reminding them of why these issues are important, because the Latino population is not, is first of all very heterogeneous, but is not evenly distributed. So there are still places where you can go in Baltimore and in Maryland, and people don't think there are Latinos living in our communities.
So we chose 3 topics based on conversations and the needs that we've seen in the Latino youth: mental health, education, and teen pregnancy. There are a bunch of other issues that they're facing right now, but we hope with these 3 topics to cover most of the issues that they're facing, because if you have access to education, you have more opportunities to find a job and less opportunities to be pregnant when you're a teenager and things like that.
I think this conference was a first step to help us advocate for Latino youth, and one of the important parts is to identify what the issues are, what the priorities are, and really to hear from the Latino youth themselves. What are the things that they are hoping for?
It's a wonderful reminder how many people are working hard on issues that of mutual interest to so many people. So I think there are opportunities to make efforts more successful just through new partnerships and through making personal connections with people we may have talked to by email, but in person it all seems a little bit more possible, and to be reminded of why it's also important.
One of the topics that really was salient is the issue of education, because we all know that education is really the path to opportunity here in the United States and everywhere. And it became apparent that Latino youth do face significant obstacles after high school trying to get a secondary education, both financially and for other reasons, particularly for Latino youth who are not born in the U.S.
I think through working together we show what's important to all of us and what matters. I think there's a big election in November. We need everybody who has the ability to vote should vote, and so we can work on that.
So I think the highlight of the conference is, there are a couple of big highlights. Rafael Lopez, the Commissioner for Youth and Families in the Obama administration, gave a wonderful speech where he talked about the broader policy issues and data surrounding Latino youth, but also brought it back to Baltimore as when he talked about his own experience living in Baltimore and working with Latino youth here.
Right now we have a summer program, and we are trying to mentor kids and help them to dream big or bigger. Some have not received good advice in terms of college application, and we don't want that because they are the future, and we hope to partner with the organizations and people coming to this conference to help these kids and mentor them and help our future, our own future.
I think this conference really brought educators and advocates in that area, and we are very hopeful that with their help we're going to be able to make some important improvements and create real opportunities for Latino youth beyond high school.
I really liked it a lot, especially the panel for mental health for the Latino youth. I'm very interested in mental health, and I think that's something that a lot of young Latino students struggle with a lot of different mental issues, and the reason why they can't receive treatment for it is either because they don't have insurance or they don't have the money and things like that. So I think it's important to see that people are working on these issues.
So I think the attendance was great. People and organizations have been very responsive, and that shows the interest and how concerned they are about the Latino youth. So I'm really happy. The speakers and panels have been great. I think the topics were very good, and the expertise that they shared and the resources are so much needed. So I'm really happy with the conference.
It was great. A lot to share my story with people and inspire them to make our community a better place to live in.
Well, at the moment, I work at the Center for Talented Youth at Johns Hopkins University, and I work, basically I oversee the recruitment of gifted and talented students. I have to say that lately I have been more involved in Baltimore more than in the United States. I travel a lot through the United States, but and I have been discovering and working with some of the most impacted schools here in Baltimore that have the majority number of Latinos.
I like the first speaker. I like the speech he gave about how youth is important. The youth is important, and it's important to, take part of the problems that they have and tackle the problems and help the society have a better future by focusing on the youth, because they are the future of the country.
I think being able to bring all of these partners working in different areas and serving the same population benefits not only the professionals serving them, but also the people who receive the services. That means that creating partnerships and looking for opportunities of networking and partnering benefits both sides. So I'm sure and I hope that after this conference there will be more conversations.
And I am so happy and pleased to say that the numbers of gifted Latino students have tripled just in this year, and many more are going to gifted programs at Johns Hopkins.
I think just to be more aware about these situations and ask people what they can do. And I think a conference like this is a great way to invite people to come here and see that there are issues that the Latino community is still struggling with, and ask the people here, what can we do?
What I think this conference brought is a lot of expertise in different areas. It was not only health, it was not only education, but a lot of areas that affect the Latino youth. So I hope after these we can create a network and have other projects to benefit the Latino youth who are in most need of services and resources in the community. There are a lot of things to do, and as Commissioner Lopez said, is it in our hands to really do more for the kids who are in need.
So that is, for me, that's a great success. And I'm looking forward to continue working with the schools and teachers. And most important, I started a series of workshops that is called La Escuela, Sus Hijos y Usted. Those are workshops for parents, because one of the most important for me is for parents to understand the educational system in the United States. If we want children to succeed, we need to empower parents and for them to understand how to navigate the educational system.
To change the mind frame, to change the conversation, but to change the conversation not because at the federal level, state level, or government, but really thinking about how you're talking about the conversation personally and what are you doing about that. It's not about looking at people of color like Hispanic or African Americans or other disadvantaged communities as victims, but welcoming them and just empower them to be able to succeed. And what role do we play in building that bridge?
I would like to see them succeed, to dream big, and I think I mentioned that before, but not being stopped by things that can be overcome.
Promoting the health, well-being, and resilience of Latino youth, it's not a problem. Latino youth aren't a problem to be solved, they're an opportunity. They are full of potential and resilience, and they are part of a very vibrant future in this country, and they did such a wonderful job of reminding us of that.
I work with programs to actually educate and bring awareness and action about being healthy, having behavioral changes for health habits. The second part is I also work with them on being innovative and have an entrepreneurial spirit to actually get ideas out of the ground. So advocate for both things, in the economic science and as well as in the health part.
One of the things that I'm leaving the conference thinking that we need to work closely together, not just in our own communities, but also in the region.
So I work with Centro, and what I do is I help coordinate different programs that we have for the Latino community here in Baltimore. Our goal at Centro is to promote better health and better lifestyle for the Latino community in Baltimore. And I'm part of Centro and I work as a pediatrician. So in my clinical work, I interact with families every day as we try to support the youth as well as their parents, right? Because they're a family unit, they're a team. For them to succeed, they need support from others. And so we have to do that with them and their families.
Oh, it's great. We talked about the women's reproductive health, which is also a very important issue here in Baltimore, especially for the Latino youth.
I thought it was a great conference. I really loved the combination again between the data, the sharing of experience, and also the building the bedrock for joint advocacy.
Just really how we need to kind of adjust our services to this growing population that I guess I'm just really surprised by this still that there's such a huge gap in terms of services being provided to the Latino community.
I would agree. I think it's great that now there's more acknowledgement and they're looking forward to make some changes. It's not just talking about, but there's actions that are, they're working on implementing those things.
Not always dictate how things are going to happen, but listen to them. Use the mediums that they're using. There was some conversation about Facebook and social media. Get them where they are. Where are they? Where are they? And just having an open mind, open ears, and listening to them. That's a very important thing.
I think it's really important that different healthcare providers, hear these stories and know about these issues. Especially healthcare providers who don't speak Spanish like myself. I think it's really important that we have an understanding of the different cultural issues. And I think now that I've heard some of the stories and heard what's going on in the community, I can advocate and tell other people about it, and I think that's really important.
So there's many barriers for them to succeed. So today I'm going to be talking about this issue.
Well, I'm thrilled that this year's topic was really focused on youth and Latino youth and the issues that and strengths that they bring to the conversation. I think obviously youth are the future. They're the ones that are going to be paying our Social Security when we get old, and how do we best support them in their development to be productive adults.
I'm actually Afro-Latina, so I'm happy to be here to connect with my Latina and Latino brothers and sisters. So whatever we can do down at the Land of Kush, which is my vegan restaurant, please come. We definitely want to support.
I hope to continue serving the families in need in the community, and particularly immigrants, because I was an immigrant myself, and I know how difficult it may be to just connect with the community. So my individual goal is to make them succeed, to see them succeed is all I want, and everything else will come along.
We see a lot of really compelling stories come through Centro Sol with the youth summer program, and youth they're amazing. They're just developing their lives, and I think they're at a really critical point where they need support more than anything. And a lot of the times youth, it's like, oh, you see youth and you're like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about, and you sort of try to impose things on them. But I think it's very important to take the time to listen to youth and see the potential that they have, because at the end of the day, they're our future.
I just hope to see more of this in the future. I think it's really great, not just once a year, but as much as possible, so more people can be informed about it.
And I do like how making research more accessible to the community and to the public. I think that was great.
I think the most important thing is creating connections and creating networks with partnering with a lot of organizations already created here in Baltimore. And then having that knowledge go out into the public, so that parents and schools, they have that information so that they can share with the community and with their students and parents with their children.
So I think Latino youth, again, are the future. They have so many strengths, and I think often we think of youth and think of how we need to support them, but they have great ideas and great strengths that we need to listen and learn from. I think that we heard that a lot today in some of the speakers, and I think we talked a lot across different community organizations, public health organizations.
We need to start talking to our children in the home about sex. We cannot make this taboo anymore. This is because if you don't talk to your children about this, trust someone else is talking to them, and it may not be what you want them to hear. So it's really best to have that parent-child relationship. Very, very important. And Latino population is a growing population, so we need to consider the fact that we shouldn't be separate. We need to be equal and build this equity and definitely provide more resources to the community.
Thank you all to the rest of you for coming, and I'm looking forward to the afternoon.
Just really a big thank you to everyone that has made it out here to the Latino Health Conference. It has been so much fun to put it together, and we hope everybody enjoys their day here.
Latino family, yay!
Thank you so much.
I think that this has been a great conference. It's always neat to be re-energized, and I really thank the organizers of this conference. Monica, I think everybody knows who Monica is. She's incredible, and she knows everything about what's going on in the community, and we couldn't do it without Monica and the organizers.
I just would like to say thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much for Centro Sol for inviting us and be able to participate in this. And I hope that this is not the only one, that every year we're going to continue working together to make the Latino community as more successful as possible that we can in Baltimore.
I think one of the good things that we all could do is volunteering ourselves and serving our community the way we should, because we should serve everybody as family.
I'm just looking forward to not just the rest of the day, but some of the discussions and some of the solutions that come out of the discussions today.
The other way is coming to conferences like this one and meeting up with Monica Guerrero was the one that invited us, so we're very happy to be here on her behalf, and we thank her a lot because she's done a lot for our community, the Latino community and greater Baltimore community, but we're happy to be here and to promote this conference.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, all of our youth, whether in Baltimore City, across the country, deserve an opportunity to thrive, to reach their highest potential. And really, it's about believing them. It's believing in them because they have the power to do amazing things in this country.
I just hope that this project continues and that we receive additional funding so that we can serve more youth.
Thank you for bringing us together. It's a great event so far.
The conference is great. I really enjoyed it.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, the audience, the speakers, and the the good heart, or all the heart that they put in the work that they are doing. There are a lot of people there who are not speakers and who work really hard and do a lot for the community. So the speakers were the representation of those who do a lot of work in the community. So I just want to say thank you, muchas gracias a todos por el trabajo que hacen por los jóvenes y por la comunidad en general.
And I would like to thank Monica for inviting me here.
So just in ending, I would really like to thank all the supporters of Centro Sol, the people who came to our conference, the speakers. We are very, very cognizant at Centro Sol that nothing that we do could happen without everyone's help. And it's been really a pleasure for us to see the dynamism, the passion that people are bringing to the table and helping us move forward in the work that we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you to the camera people for helping us, because thank you to the support of the co-sponsor for the business breakfast, to the Urban Health Institute, and all the people who are involved in this conference in some way or another. We are able to sponsor one high school student thanks to all the support of all of you. So thank you so much.
Thanks for your interest in the Latino Health Conference, and we will see you next year.